Hello, I'm Callum Dilietto, and this is a very special season of the Flock Together podcast in partnership with M&I, and it's all about the hoteliers in our industry. And I'm joined by Anne. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you, Callum.
It's lovely to be here at the Shangri-La Shard, London, but you are for Pan Pacific, right?
Yes, that's correct, which is not too far away.
And how long have you been there?
6 years, actually. So I joined to do pre-opening. We eventually opened in September 2021, so that's Pan Pacific London. So we'll be coming up to our 4th anniversary very soon.
Amazing. And what was the first ever hotel that you worked in?
The Strand Palace, which was a 40 hotel at the time. I absolutely loved it. It was a blast. I was a receptionist, and it was back in the day, so it was pre-internet. It was just fabulous fun. I loved it. It was 760 rooms, and we had a lot of single rooms, and we'd often have to split couples up when they arrived for a weekend stay, and they weren't always on the same floor, so that was really interesting.
That would be interesting. I feel like there's some couples that would love that and some couples that would be really disappointed by that.
Exactly, you're absolutely right.
I love that you started your career as a receptionist as well. You've really risen up the ranks.
Yeah, it was. It's just honestly so interesting, just to see the difference between people that come in at management level who are so fantastic, you know, they know all of the theory, and then there's a lot of people like myself that it's all the kind of practical side of things, and it does help when you're managing and leading a team to have been on the front line yourself, I think, at that level.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are lots of hotel programs, leadership programs, where they kind of make you do,
Yes.
jobs in all of the different departments.
And I think they're great. I think they really work. You do get a flavour of all the different types of experiences you're going to have in those different departments, for sure.
And what was the last hotel that you stayed in?
Apart from my own hotel,
Yeah.
apart from Pan Pacific London, I stayed at the Meridian Beach Plaza in Monaco.
Lovely. No, it's very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm jealous of that. Anything that you liked about that property that you were like, oh, you know what?
Well, it's got its own private beach. So although we went in early this year in February, it was still lovely to have access to very quiet beach.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the location was good as well.
And the next part of the podcast is all about like revisiting. So it's follows on quite nicely from that. But if you could relive a destination experience, it doesn't have to be a work experience, but any kind of destination experience that you've had, which would it be?
Definitely Japan. I fell in love with that country and just want to constantly go back there. I feel like I'm on another planet. I just love the culture. I love the fact that a lot of people don't speak English. And so for the first time in my experience, it's great to understand how a lot of other people feel, whether they're tourists or delegates in a different location. And it's just otherworldly, incredible.
Whereabouts in Japan did you go?
We did a bit of a sort of travelling around. So it's kind of quite generic what we did. We went to Tokyo, then Kyoto, Nara, Osaka, Hiroshima, Miyajima, and then back up to Tokyo. So nothing too adventurous in terms of off the beaten track, but for us it was a great adventure because just everything is so different and wonderful.
Yeah.
And I just love it so much.
I did Osaka, Kyoto and Tokyo, and I think you're right in terms of the lack of English, where it was really eye-opening, particularly because everything is built upwards, right? So, if you're walking around London, you're looking for a cafe, you can look through a glass window and you can find a cafe, whereas because the cafes are 3rd, 4th, 5th floor and it's all signs in Japanese, I felt so lost. I was like I'd be looking on Google Maps and I'm like, it's right here, but then I'm like, I don't know where.
Where is it?
Yeah, and I ended up having to befriend Japanese people that could speak English, who then became tour guides just unofficially. And
aren't they so kind?
Yeah.
It's just incredible. I loved it.
Yeah, it really is an incredible destination. And if you could make any hotel a home, which hotel would it be?
That's really easy. It's Park Royal Collection in Pickering in Singapore.
Oh, yes.
Now it's a hotel within a forest, and it has that type of construction where all of the hotel rooms are outside, you know, a little bit like a traditional motel, but in a very fancy way. And the incredible array and collection of plants, all indigenous to Singapore and Southeast Asia, that they have is just to see the palms swaying when you walk into the room outside your window, and then to go and see the urban kitchen garden that they have, all of the little plants that they grow, that they use in the hotel have all got like little signs telling you, like kaffir lime and curry leaves and etc., etc. And just the most beautiful infinity pool, and everything's outside. It just feels like very homey and somewhere that you could live.
Yeah.
Because it just, with all of the water flowing everywhere, it doesn't feel like a traditional hotel where you're just in a building, all of it.
It feels a bit like the movie Avatar, I feel like it, or Fern Gully or something like that. Like it feels like you're like living in a forest, but in such a super luxurious way as well. So
exactly.
I remember staying there a couple of years ago and being like, this is surreal, but it still manages to can blend nature and luxury in a very, very unique way.
Yeah, and it's done in a very sort of understated way as well, which is why I feel at home, and they remember me. I hope for all the good reasons. And so it just feels like lovely. It feels like coming home when you go there. So
love that.
Yeah.
And if you could adopt any hotel that's not a Pan Pacific property into your brand, which hotel would it be?
I think Rosewood Hong Kong. A very good friend of mine did the opening there as Director of Sales and Marketing, and it just looks, I've never been actually, but I know so much about it. I have so many, I was meant to go, there was a reason we didn't get there. Everything about it is classy, luxurious, well thought out, very intentional. And I just think it set a new standard for luxury in that region and really set the Rosewood brand on its trajectory that it's on today. And just everything about that hotel it will be a classic. It will forever be the most beautiful hotel. So that one I would just love. And also we haven't got a hotel in Hong Kong.
So there you go, fits in perfectly.
And it's such a key city to be in, if you know, in Southeast Asia. So yes, that one.
Perfect choice. The next part of the podcast is reimagine, and obviously hotels are often the home of some incredible incentives, especially luxury hotels. But I'd like to challenge you to create your own incentive trip for yourself. Where would you go? What would you do? And which celebrity would you have with you?
The Ryukyu Islands, which are off the coast of Japan, so they're Japanese islands. So we would start there and sail through. It's a little known fact that there's over 14,000 islands that make up Japan, and so there's a whole area there that I'd love to. We'd probably fly to Okinawa and start from there and sail. And then I think we should then fly to Indonesia and visit Bali. Not so much just the tourist bits, although I do like nightlife and things like that, but go to Ubud and do a lot of the sort of spiritual side of it and the retreat and yoga and all those good things. And then on to a completely different change of tone and go to Cambodia and Vietnam, because they've got some fantastic cities there that I'd love to visit. So it would be almost like a mix. But everywhere that we would go, I would want to steer clear of fancy restaurants and really eat local and just find out a little bit more about the culture, which leads me on nicely as to who would be my celebrity travel partner, and that would be Viggo Mortensen.
Oh, wow,
now,
yes.
He travels extensively. He's had a very interesting life, not just as an actor in the medium that we would know him. So he speaks many languages. He thinks in Spanish. He said that he's able to, whilst sort of English is his first language, he feels that he likes to speak in Spanish because he can really get to the heart of the matter in Spanish.
Wow.
Which I think is very interesting. I think he'd be super interesting. He sings, he writes poetry, but also he's written books on the indigenous peoples of various different countries. So I think he'd be very respectful. I think he'd be somebody that would enjoy, finding out the local cultures and stories and eating locally. So for all those reasons.
And just to clarify, he is Aragorn from Lord of the Rings.
That's right, yeah.
And so in my head, travelling with Aragorn is probably the most epic thing in general. He sounds like, as a human, he is that character. Like, he's there writing and doing all of this. But
he cares.
The fact that you would be travelling around these islands and then Southeast Asia with Aragorn, I think is just an epic sequel to the Lord of the Rings.
And the problem is now you've put that into my head. I'm going to be perennially disappointed if it doesn't happen at some point.
We'll make it happen. We will make it happen.
Much, Callum, I need that. But yeah, I think he'd be great. Great travelling partner.
The penultimate part of the podcast is an opportunity for you to write a letter to the industry, to kind of get on your soapbox and say what it is that you think the wider industry should hear. So what is your letter?
My letter would start by redefining how we call ourselves. So we always say in our industry, and I think we need to sort of start talking about our profession, because I think in this country at least we're not taken seriously. I think successive governments of every colour and flavour have ignored our wants and needs, despite the fact that we are one of the top producing contributors to our GDP, and I think that that's wrong. I think it's a bit snobbish. Other countries, we've talked a bit about Spain. It's seen as a noble profession in lots of European countries and across the world. So I think we have to start talking in terms of profession, and we're professionals. The other part is, I think, it would be, the second part of the letter would go to people like myself and anyone that leads, and just to say, make sure that you're inspiring people, because the biggest problem that we have is people leaving the industry because they feel disillusioned or not cared for. So I think, from our side is to lead with purpose, continue to inspire. Don't just go for the obvious choice. We've got lots of people within our hotels that are just super talented. Find out about them. You'd be surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I really do think that there is a perception problem in the UK around hospitality. And yeah, you go to some countries and it's almost worshipped. It's so noble. So I think that two-pronged letter works really well, because then the inspirational part feeds into, like, it's almost a cycle of, if you can inspire the younger generations to really want to be part of this industry, and the government and those at the top can give it more respect, then they'll feed into each other.
Hopefully. And, even just thinking about meeting professionals, events professionals, I mean, look at the skills you have to work in that sector of our profession. And yet, are we held in the esteem that we deserve? I would say definitely not in this country, so I think that has to change.
The final part of the podcast is a quick fire round. So it's just travel preferences, really. But I'll be very interested to hear yours. Packing, last minute or week before?
Oh God, so last minute.
We are the same. Carry on or check in?
Check in.
Airport lounge or shopping?
A mix. I would say shopping if I'm going for leisure, and if I'm going for business, I usually will just sit and chill in the airport lounge.
Okay, fair, I'll give you that. Aisle or window?
I don't really mind. I'm one of those weirdos that doesn't really mind.
You did say, though, that you have a very interesting...
I do. I like to make friends, and I know this is going to make sure that if anyone sees me in the airport, they hide. But I do like to make friends with the people I'm sat next to. Not extensively. I don't, some people just want to be left alone. But I do suggest that we all go to the toilet together.
Not literally together.
But if one of us gets up, and it just means that you're not disturbing people. I know that's very strange, I'm sorry.
I like the idea of you approaching a random couple sat next to you and saying, I think we should all go to the toilet together. And then being like, what is going on? And then
just being too scared to say no, I'm coming with. Yeah.
City or nature?
City.
Lay-in or early start?
Ooh, again, a mix. I can do both, but I do like a lay-in.
Fair. Poolside or seaside?
Seaside, for sure.
And finally, planned or spontaneous?
I like. I'm a Virgo. I like the planned. So I'm currently planning our next trip to Japan, strangely enough, and there's a lot of planning going into it.
Thorough
I'm
itinerary.
Really loving that. Yeah, I do like a plan.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being part of this special edition of the Flock Together podcast. And I loved hearing your stories, and I really do hope that Aragon will go on his travels with you.
Not as much as me, Callum, but thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.